Hello, you're watching Gravitas. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Let's begin. Tonight on Gravitas, we tell you why Donald Trump has now warned Iran that he's no more Mr. Nice Guy. A new threat, a new attack. Does this mean a more aggressive approach or just a pressure tactic? We decode this tonight. Here in India, the mother of all battles has now concluded. Exit poll numbers have come in, and we break down for you what it means for each of the 4 states and the union territory of Puducherry. And some good news for Afghan women in what is an empowering move for the women athletes of the war-torn country. FIFA has now allowed their national team to play in its tournaments. Let's talk about the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia has unleashed a wave of drone strikes across Ukraine, signaling its spring offensive is fully underway now. Overnight, Russian forces launched massive drone attacks, leaving a trail of destruction from Kharkiv in the northeast to Odesa in the south. Ukrainian authorities said that these strikes hit at least 9 major areas, damaging residential buildings, hospitals, and critical infrastructure. In the Sumy region, the town of Shostka witnessed some of the worst devastation. Fires tore through residential neighborhoods after a series of coordinated strikes hit the city. Ukraine's emergency crews worked through the night, battling flames, rescuing trapped civilians, and evacuating residents from shattered apartment blocks. According to Ukrainian authorities, a 60-year-old woman died from carbon monoxide poisoning while several others sustained injuries. Ukraine's Air Force said that it intercepted 154 out of 171 drones launched overnight. Despite that, several drones still struck targets across multiple locations, while falling debris caused additional damage in other areas. Across Ukraine, Russian attacks have killed at least 5 people and they've injured more than 20. Both Kharkiv and Donetsk have reported 2 deaths each and multiple injuries, with extensive damage to homes, transport systems, and commercial infrastructure. As per Ukrainian officials, Kherson, Zaporizhia, and Odesa oblasts also faced heavy bombardment that crippled essential services. Ukraine's state grid operator reported that as a result of the Russian attacks, power outages occurred in Donetsk, Sumy, Kharkiv, Chernihiv, Odesa and Zaporizhia oblasts, disrupting daily lives and straining the already fragile systems. Now, this surge in drone warfare comes as Russia intensifies its spring offensive, even launching rare daytime strikes, including in the capital, Kiev. Ukrainian officials say the scale of these attacks is unprecedented, revealing how drone warfare has now become central to Russia's strategy. Last month, Ukraine claimed to shoot down 33,000 Russian drones, which is the highest monthly figure since the war began in February 2022. On the battlefield, Russian troops continue to push forward. Moscow said that its forces have captured new positions in Kharkiv and Donetsk, advancing deeper into Ukrainian defenses. As per Russian military experts, the capturing of the 2 areas has helped Russia penetrate 7 kilometers deeper into Ukraine. At the same time, Ukraine is also continuing aerial attacks against Russia. Russia said that it shot down 10 guided aerial bombs and 303 drones overnight. Ukraine's President Zelensky, meanwhile, has said that Kiev will expand the reach of its strikes inside Russia. On social media, Zelensky posted the footage of what he said was an attack on a target at a distance of more than 1,500 kilometers. Ukrainian security forces claim they targeted a Russian oil facility in the city of Perm, nearly 1,500 kilometers away, showcasing their growing long-range capabilities. Russian President Vladimir Putin called such attacks against oil facilities as proof that Ukraine has been escalating attacks on civilian infrastructure.
Drone strikes against civilian infrastructure are becoming more frequent. The latest example involves strikes on energy facilities in Tuapse, which could potentially lead to serious environmental consequences.
As offensives continue to ramp up on the ground and in the skies, the war, which is in its 5th year, shows no signs of slowing down. Donald Trump has once again escalated his rhetoric towards Iran. A fresh warning on his Truth Social is once again raising eyebrows. This comes at a moment when diplomatic channels between Washington and Tehran are already stalled, and the Strait of Hormuz remains a major flashpoint for global energy security. Trump's posts seem to be adding fresh rhetorical heat to an already volatile situation. The latest warning in a Truth Social post shows an AI-generated picture of Trump holding an assault rifle, as you can see. The thumbnail on this picture reads, "No more Mr. Nice Guy," with a bold warning to Iran to get their act together and get smart soon. This latest warning comes as ceasefire and non-nuclear talks remain stalled. Negotiations, which were expected to continue earlier this month, were disrupted after the abrupt cancellation of the second round of talks, including a planned visit for American negotiators. Now, the first round of engagements, which took place in Islamabad involving the Vice President J.D. Vance, ended without any breakthrough. What was expected to be a gradual diplomatic track has instead dissolved into a pattern of missed meetings, cancelled trips, and hardening positions on both sides. The articulated position of US in this war is to stop Iran's nuclear enrichment program, as it remains the focal point of Trump's as well as Netanyahu's military campaign in Iran. At the same time, Donald Trump has sought to project a picture of military and strategic superiority. From the clock is ticking message to Iran's navy lying at the bottom of the sea to time is not on their side, Trump has posted several times mocking Iran and tried posturing the strength of his own military campaign. This escalation in words is not occurring in isolation. It follows a period of intensifying tensions around the Hormuz, which, remember, remains under American blockade but under Iranian control. The result has been a continuing disruption to global energy flows and a deepening stalemate between the two sides. Iran says that it would consider reopening the strait if the US sanctions and blockades on its ports are lifted and the conflict comes to an end. But at present, both sides remain locked in a cycle of action and counteraction. With every day, the Iran conflict and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz continue. The global impact and economic fallout increase. The fate of the global economy now depends on whether and when a real ceasefire emerges, the stalemate holds, or the conflict widens. A World Bank and International Monetary Fund research shows that 15% of global oil supply still blocked at the Strait of Hormuz. That runs up to 15.8 million barrels per day, which is roughly 62,000 barrels per day of jet fuel, which is also blocked at the strait. Global GDP losses currently stand at $590 billion, or over 0.5% of world GDP, if the conflict ends now. In the most likely scenario, based on the current back and forth between the US and Iran, is a phantom ceasefire. Under this scenario, the global GDP loss is estimated at $3.57 trillion if the war continues for another month. The scarcity and supply crisis is reflected in the difference between the physical oil price of over $140 per barrel and benchmark Brent futures trading at around $110. The over $30 premium confirms the physical market scarcity. So Trump's "no more Mr. Nice Guy" statement takes on a dual interpretation. On the one hand, it can be read as classic negotiating posture intended to project strength, increase pressure on Iran to force concession at the negotiation table. On the other hand, it comes as signs of returning to war, especially when diplomatic talks are breaking down, military rhetoric is intensifying, and global economic stakes are rising sharply. Assembly elections for the 4 states and 1 union territory have concluded now, and it is time for the exit polls. In fact, the numbers are out now. West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam and Puducherry. The results of all of these assembly elections will be announced simultaneously on the 4th of May. The most high-voltage political battle is taking place in the state of West Bengal, where the electorate has delivered a historic voter turnout in both phases. Voting percentage in the second phase stands at 89.99% at 6 p.m. local time. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is seeking a 4th term, while the Bharatiya Janata Party is seeking to dethrone her to form its first ever government in the state. Let's quickly dive straight into what the exit polls are saying. The Xenia exit poll numbers are out for West Bengal, and the race for West Bengal's assembly polls is turning out to be a neck-and-neck contest between the BJP and the TMC as expected. The BJP is expected to win 144 to 160 seats in the 294-member West Bengal Assembly, that is the State Assembly. The TMC, on the other hand, is expected to win between 129 to 145 seats. Exit poll numbers are predicting an edge for the BJP in the state of West Bengal. But remember, Mamata Banerjee could also win if the TMC touches the upper limit of the projections given by the exit poll. Shifting our focus now to the southern state of Tamil Nadu. A multipolar electoral contest pits the regional and national political parties against each other in the battle of alliances. The new entrant, TVK, which has been led by actor-turned-politician Vijay, has been trying to make inroads into the state assembly. The incumbent Chief Minister M.K. Stalin is eyeing to script electoral history this time around by etching his name among the rare politicians who've managed to retain power in Tamil Nadu. On the other hand, you've got the AIADMK, which suffered setbacks in the 2021 assembly polls and the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The party is eyeing an electoral comeback this time around. Now, Xenia poll, which is the Z News AI exit poll, that predicts M.K. Stalin's historic return in Tamil Nadu this year. DMK Alliance is predicted to get 140 to 160 seats, while the AIA-DMK Alliance, that also has the BJP in it, is expected to get 52 to 74 seats. While actor-turned-politician Vijay's TVK could get 8 to 18 seats as per this poll. Now, the poll of polls in Tamil Nadu also says, in fact, reflects a similar number. Let's quickly now turn our focus to the northeastern state of Assam. The state has turned into a high-stakes battle between 2 national parties, the Congress party, which is looking to de-seat Himanta Biswa Sarma from the position of chief minister, and the BJP, which is hoping that he retains the position for a second time. Himanta Biswa Sarma is returning to power as per the Xenia exit poll. The BJP is expected to win 80 to 86 seats in the 126-member assembly. The Congress could face yet another setback in Assam with only 29 to 35 seats as predicted in the exit poll. Now, that is by far what is the Assam state. Quickly, let's turn our focus to Kerala now, where the state is witnessing a 3-cornered fight. The ruling Left Democratic Front, the LDF, which is led by communist parties, while their main challenger, the UDF, United Democratic Front, is led by the Congress party. The BJP-led NDA is also looking to expand its footprint in the state. Exit polls are predicting major turnaround in the state, where the reign of Pinarayi Vijayan could end on the 4th of May. The Congress-led UDF, meanwhile, is projected to win 63 to 74 seats in the 140-seat assembly. Vijayan's LDF is 58 to 70 seats. The battle remains close in Kerala. Now, it's going to be interesting to see who edges ahead on the 4th of May. Now, the next high-stakes battle takes place in the Union territory of Puducherry. Chief Minister N. Rangaswamy is leading the alliance with the BJP. The opposition alliance is led by the Congress and the DMK, while the new entrant, TVK, of actor Vijay, is contesting here as well. Here, they're contesting on 28 seats. In fact, in Puducherry, Rangaswamy is expected to return as the chief minister with 14 to 18 seats. The Congress is expected to get 2 to 4 seats, while the DMK is expected to get 4 to 6 seats. That is expected in the 4th May results. That is as far as the Xenia poll is concerned. Of course, we're also showing you the poll of polls by different polling agencies. Well, days after the IDF chief, Eyal Zamir, flagged unethical conduct of the soldiers, Israeli military's lapses have now come under the scanner once again due to reportage of its iconic army radio station, also known as Galei Zahal. Its report has claimed that IDF soldiers stood by while Jewish settlers beat an elderly man and set fire to a Palestinian home in West Bank's Jalud village. According to the Israeli army radio, only one of the 12 rioters was arrested, even though they behaved violently with IDF troops. But IDF defended its action, citing that its troops were outnumbered here. Now, this latest incident comes amid an uptick in violence by Israeli settlers. As per the United Nations, 1,081 Palestinians were killed in West Bank between 7th of October 2023 till 21st of April 2026. This includes 235 children. At least 35 people have been killed since the beginning of this year. Last week, 2 Palestinians were reportedly killed in the Mughayr village after Israeli settlers attacked a local school. 2 days earlier, Israeli forces raided Kafr Aqab and Kalandia camp in West Bank. Their operation reportedly continued for about 18 hours, and dozens of residents were detained. This has also put a spotlight on the role of the Israeli army radio. Founded in 1950, it's widely known for its flagship news programs. As per a government survey, it is the country's 3rd most listened to station, with a market share of 17.7%. While Netanyahu's government decided to shut it down last year, Israel's Supreme Court suspended that move. Meanwhile, Israel continues to attack Lebanon even as a ceasefire technically remains in place. Visuals showed thick smoke rising in southern Lebanon as the IDF has stepped up its strikes. Lebanon state-run national news agency reported Israeli airstrikes on around a dozen locations on Wednesday this week. Earlier, Israeli Air Force claimed to have attacked several infrastructure allegedly belonging to Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Their target list included launchers, weapon storage facilities, and buildings used to allegedly advance terror plots against Israel. On the other hand, the Lebanese army announced that a soldier and his brother were killed in an Israeli strike in the Khirbet Selm town while they were traveling on a motorbike. Residents in southern Lebanese village of Jibchit recalled the destruction caused by an Israeli airstrikes, which killed 5 people and injured 21 others.
We just heard the strike. No sound, nothing at all. We didn't hear anything but the boom, the strike. Stones fell on us inside. We were sitting in that room there.
The humanitarian toll of this war continues to mount. As per Lebanese authorities, at least 53 people have been killed since the ceasefire commenced. This has taken the cumulative toll in Lebanon to 2,534, whereas over 7,800 people have been wounded. A UN-backed report claimed that nearly 1.24 million, that is one-fourth of the Lebanese population, is expected to face acute hunger due to this war. The impact of the two-month-long Iran war is not just limited to energy markets. Apart from oil supply disruption due to the Strait of Hormuz blockade, critical digital infrastructure has been under threat as well. Iran has warned last week that submarine cables in the Strait of Hormuz were a vulnerable point for the region's digital economy. Several cables are spread across the seabed of the Hormuz. They connect countries from India and Southeast Asia to Europe via the Gulf states and Egypt. Subsea cables are fiber optic or electrical cables that are laid on the seafloor to transmit data and power. They carry around 99% of the world's internet traffic. This is as per the UN agency ITU. They also carry telecommunications and electricity between countries, and they're essential for cloud services and online communications. In order to diversify away from oil, Gulf countries, particularly the UAE and Saudi Arabia, have been investing billions of dollars in artificial intelligence and digital infrastructure. Both nations have established national AI companies serving customers across the region. These are all reliant on undersea cables to move data at lightning speed. Analysts warn that damaged cables mean the internet slowing down or outages, e-commerce disruptions, and delayed financial transactions. These disruptions would further lead to economic fallout. As per analysts, in a situation of active military operations, the risk of unintentional damage increases. The longer the West Asia conflict lasts, the higher the likelihood of unintentional damage. As per the research firm Telegeography, the degree to which the damage to the cables might impact connectivity in the Gulf countries depends largely on how much individual network operators actually rely on them and what alternatives they have. The risks of damage to cables are not limited to slowing the internet. Other risks include undersea currents, earthquakes, subsea volcanoes, and typhoons. Telegeography research director says that the industry addresses these by burying cables, armoring them, and selecting safe routes. The Iran war has impacted Amazon Web Services data centers in Bahrain and the UAE. Analysts say while subsea cables have been spared so far, there is an indirect risk from damaged vessels inadvertently hitting cables by dragging anchors. Well, next up, we put up the spotlight on the global commodity market. The World Bank's latest projections forecast commodity prices to hit a 4-year high this year. According to its latest outlook, prices of some key commodities could rise as much as 25%. As geopolitical tensions disrupt key supply chains, the World Bank's broad commodity price index is expected to rise about 16% this year. That marks the first annual increase since the post-Ukraine war surge. Energy markets are leading the rally, with prices forecast to climb roughly 24% this year. Brent crude is now expected to average significantly higher than earlier projections, reflecting persistent supply constraints. However, the impact extends far beyond oil. Natural gas markets have tightened, particularly in regions dependent on West Asian flows. Fertilizer prices are also expected to surge by over 30%, driven by higher input costs and supply disruptions. This in turn is likely to spill over into agricultural markets, pushing up food prices globally and increasing volatility in staples such as wheat, rice, and corn. Industrial metals are also facing an upward pressure. Disruptions in shipping routes and higher energy costs are now raising the production and transportation expenses for metals like aluminium and copper, which are critical for construction and manufacturing. As a result, sectors ranging from infrastructure to electronics may see cost escalations. The global economic implications are uneven. Commodity exporting nations like Canada stand to gain the most. Oil-rich economies in West Asia may benefit from higher prices, But sustained disruptions and attacks on key oil and gas infra may not necessarily improve their fiscal balances. Fertilizer-producing countries like Russia are expected to gain a windfall as demand intensifies. On the other hand, import-dependent economies are likely to face headwinds. Countries across Asia and Europe are expected to experience rising input costs, worsening trade balances, and renewed inflationary pressures. Food-importing countries are particularly vulnerable as higher fertilizer costs threaten agricultural output and affordability. The World Bank has noted in its remarks that the effects of the conflict are now expected to unfold in stages. For India, the outlook is especially challenging. As one of the world's largest importers of crude oil, India faces elevated energy bills, which could widen its current account deficit and strain public finances. Higher fertilizer prices may increase subsidy burdens, while rising global food prices could complicate efforts to manage domestic inflation. Although some sectors, such as metals and exports linked to global demand, may see marginal benefits, the overall impact is likely to tilt negative for macroeconomic policies. Since coming to power, President Trump has been on a self-naming spree. From the iconic buildings to warships, his name has been omnipresent. And now his picture will appear on US passports. Take a look at this report for more.
US President Donald Trump's self-naming spree shows no signs of abating. Now, his stern-looking picture is all set to appear on 25,000 to 30,000 new passports to commemorate 250th anniversary of America. The limited edition passport will also feature his signature. The back cover shall have a small gold American flag with the number 250 encircled by stars. It will be available to people applying online as well as in person just before July 4th. This makes him the first living US president to be featured on a US passport. Currently, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln are the only US presidents to feature on passports, that too in a depiction of Mount Rushmore. While it is not unusual globally for things and places to be renamed after leaders after they remit office, Trump has ducked this trend. For instance, he will be the first US president to have his signature on $100 banknotes from June onwards. A 14-karat gold coin bearing his image is also set to be issued. Now, this is not an aberration. In December 2025, Trump launched a new class of warships named after him. Additionally, the iconic John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts and U.S. Institute of Peace Building in Washington were renamed after him. This is not all. Trump even reportedly demanded that the Washington Dulles International Airport and New York's Penn Station be renamed after him in exchange for releasing federal funds for a vital rail tunnel project. Even schemes have been named after him. He launched the Trump Gold Card program last year, allowing non-citizens to get residency status by paying a processing fee of $15,000 and a contribution of $1 million. However, the response has been tepid, with only one gold card approved so far. Other countries have also used this tactic to be in Trump's good books. In 2018, the then Polish President Andrzej Duda pitched $2 billion towards creation of a permanent US military base in Poland named Fort Trump. While this idea did not materialize, America did expand its military presence in Poland. In 2019, Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu announced the creation of a settlement in Golan Heights named Trump Heights. This came after US formally recognized Israel's sovereignty over Golan Heights. Trump even has a transit route named after him. When Armenia and Azerbaijan signed a peace declaration at the White House last year, they outlined a new transport link from Europe to Central Asia, bypassing Russia and Iran. This route was named the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. So is Trump trying to immortalize himself by adding his face to passports? Welcome to Trumperica, where flattery and self-praise is the order of the day. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And with that, let's tell you what is coming up for you on the other side of Gravitas. Who is the billionaire whose yacht was allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz by both the Iranians and the Americans? We tell you all about him. And amid all that roasting which he did in Washington, D.C., can King Charles repair the strained US-UK ties? All right, quickly, let's cut across to Washington, D.C., where U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane are testifying before the House Armed Services Committee. Listen in.
Incredibly grateful. Secretary Hegseth and General Kane, with your vision and steadfast commitment to our nation's service members, you have both overseen the beginning of a generational transformation of our armed services. This budget request reflects that commitment by building and sustaining our defense industrial base, increasing service member pay, housing, and benefits, robust funding for Golden Dome missile defense and space capabilities, and the emphasis on the peace through strength doctrine outlined in the National Defense Strategy. Based on the Defense Department's recent track record of successful missions, can you share some examples of military action that illustrate exactly how your leadership and vision for the Department of War is translating the peace through strength doctrine into an operational reality, and what psychological impact that may have on our near-peer adversaries such as China and Russia? And I'd like to get both yours and General Kane's perspective. If you can take 30 seconds each.
I'll keep it brief. Reestablishing deterrence was one of the core pillars of what we set out to do after Afghanistan, after October 7th, after the war in Ukraine, after Lloyd Austin went AWOL for a week and no one seemed to care. The world took notice of that. And through the actions we've taken swiftly that I just laid out, the world has recognized that American power is back, and the willingness to utilize it shows that we can achieve peace through strength.
And General Kane, in terms of our adversaries?
Yes, sir. You know, when we look at the totality of actions that we've done over the last year, one thing leaps out at me that I think is clearly and unambiguously seen by our adversaries or those that may consider it, and that's our ability to integrate and synchronize a whole range of capabilities that we have in the joint force. Information, cyber, deception, jamming, air power, sea power, land power, et cetera. And I think that ability, and I'm so proud of our joint force, those young...
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair, now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Carbajal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, General Kane, Mr. Hegseth, and hers for being here today. I associate myself with the comments of Ranking Member Smith and Mr. Garamendi, so that I won't repeat a lot of what has been said. Mr. Hegseth, I recently realized that we have something in common. I'm also a fan of Pulp Fiction. And no, the movie is not an accurate portrayal of the Bible. You know what I'm talking about. This president and his administration have claimed to be the most transparent of all time. With that in mind, I'd love to get some straightforward answers today. Some estimates show that the Trump administration's war of choice in Iran is costing taxpayers around $1 billion every day. In addition to spending taxpayer money on a war they don't want, it is also driving up costs. The cost of gas, while the cost of living is skyrocketing under this administration's policies. To me, and I assume to the American people, it is unclear why we started this war, how it will end, and what anyone gained from it. Mr. Hegseth, about how much money has been spent on this war to date, and how much more do you anticipate spending?
Well, as our comptroller laid out, the estimate is less than $25 billion at this point as far as an expenditure. And the question I would ask this committee is, What is it worth to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon, considering the radical ambitions of that regime? I mean, almost every member of this dais at some point has said, whether it was
Thank you for your answer. I'll proceed to
Iran
my
can
next
never have a
question.
nuclear weapon.
Thank you for your answer.
President Trump is the one that's willing to make sure it doesn't happen.
Supposedly, we had taken care of the nuclear capability last time around. And now this war, we're at it again, because obviously we said we did, but we did it.
In a way that
We know,
the United States military can do.
I want to reclaim my time. We know that the cost of oil and gas has gone up as a direct result of this war, and the American people are feeling that pain at the pump. In an attempt to alleviate the high price of gas caused directly by this president, he lifted sanctions on Russian oil. The way I see it, this is a massive gift to Putin and Russia's struggling economy. Mr. Hegseth, is there any concern that easing sanctions against Russia will allow Putin to continue funding Russia's illegal war against Ukraine?
Well, we've seen Russia's and Putin's inability to make effective battlefield gains, just like their inability to defend the Maduro regime with the billions of dollars of systems the Russians sent to Venezuela in order to defend him, which were defeated in 15 minutes. So Russia's military capabilities are no match for ours.
And you don't believe easing the
ensuring
sanctions is helping Russia?
Well, we have the best energy team in the planet
It's just a yes or
White
no.
House. We're going to ensure that
this is not deja vu. It's a simple yes or
I
no.
understand the energy dominance that this administration has unleashed.
All right, well, I'll proceed to my next question.
Strategy.
Last week, it was announced that the Department of Defense is no longer requiring service members to get their annual flu shot. Now, this is an easy one for you. It's a softball. Don't screw it up. The rationale was to, and I quote, restore freedom to our joint force. This has been a requirement since 1950 because it is an effective at preventing the spread of flu among our troops. It's not some new woke requirement, as you like to lean on for much of your rhetoric. This decision is actively making our military less safe and less prepared. Mr. Hegseth.
All right, that is the House Armed Services Committee questioning Pete Hegseth as well as General Kane on the Iran war. Quite a heated exchange taking place between the lawmakers and the Secretary of War as well as General Kane, saying that nuclear obliteration is something that America claimed to have already done last year, but clearly that aim hasn't been achieved if the attack is still going on against Iran. We'll keep getting you more on this, but let's talk about King Charles's visit to the United States. Remember, King Charles may have been received with full ceremonial honors in Washington, but beyond the pageantry, this visit comes at a moment when the UK-US ties are being tested, especially over the Iran war. So will this royal visit help bridge the political divide? We get you more in this report.
Gun salutes, flags flying high, and a ceremonial military honor marked the arrival of King Charles at the White House. A grand diplomatic unity between two longtime allies were at display in Washington when the King and the Queen were received by President Trump and First Lady Melania. The visit comes at a fraught moment. The special relationship between the two countries is facing fresh strains.
I will never let this country be dragged into a war that is not in our interests. Never.
Trump has repeatedly criticized Keir Starmer over London's reluctance to back Washington's war with Iran.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with
When Britain refused to allow U.S. troops access to its bases, Trump, in an interview with Fox News, responded bluntly saying, "This is not Winston Churchill we are dealing with." Cut to yesterday, King Charles delivered a light-hearted yet sharp-witted history lesson at the White House dinner. The British monarch playfully roasted Trump.
Indeed, you recently commented, Mr. President, that if it were not for the United States, European countries would be speaking German. Dare I say that if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking French.
He made further jokes at Trump's expense, saying he could not help noticing the readjustments to the White House East Wing, which Trump demolished to build a giant $400 million ballroom. King Charles also addresses the Congress, the first British monarch to do so since 1991. During his address, he called Congress a citadel of democracy and reminded lawmakers of their shared roots in the rule of law. Even as tensions simmered, Trump struck a friendlier note by publicly praising the king and joking about his family's admiration for the royal household.
My mother, I just see it so clearly. She loved, and I told the king this, she loved the royal family, and she loved the queen. And anytime the queen was involved in a ceremony or anything, my mother would be glued to the television and she'd say, "Look, Donald, look how beautiful that is." She really did love the family.
The UK and US have weathered revolutions, wars, and global shifts. The two counties forged one of the most consequential alliances in modern history. Now, as differences over Iran and global policy widen, King Charles's visit is a reminder that even the strongest ties require constant repair. The question is, can royal diplomacy reset what politics has strained?
A Russian billionaire's super yacht has caught global attention, not for luxury, but for where it has been spotted. A couple of days ago, a super yacht defied Donald Trump's Hormuz blockade. Ship tracking data shows that the Nord, which has been owned by Russia's oligarch Alexei Mordashov, traversed the Strait of Hormuz. Now let's tell you who exactly Alexei Mordashov is, the man at the heart of this impasse. Well, he is Russia's richest man with an estimated net worth of around $37 billion. He built his fortune primarily through steel as the largest shareholder in Severstal, which is one of Russia's biggest steel producers, where he controls roughly 77% of the company. He's also considered close to Russian President Vladimir Putin and a key stakeholder in Russia's gold mining giant, Nordgold. Mordashov is also regarded as a key figure in Russia's industrial and energy sectors. He is under sanctions as well from the US, UK, and the European Union after Russia's attack on Ukraine for his links with Putin. After this attack, Mordashov quickly transferred some of his key assets, including shares of the leisure company TUI and Nordgold, to his family. Now, the timing of his super yacht crossing the Hormuz is what makes this movement stand out. Iran announced the closure of the strait following the outbreak of hostilities linked to US and Israeli strikes earlier this year. The Hormuz, which is a vital choke point for global energy supplies, has been at the center of this war and the current standoff, and only a handful of ships carrying crucial energy sources have passed the strait. Then how did a super yacht of a Russian billionaire manage to cross? Well, Russia and Iran are long-standing allies. They've become closer, in fact, in the recent years through a 2025 treaty towards intelligence and security cooperation. Just days ago, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had arrived in Russia to meet with President Putin, and after the discussions with mediators in Pakistan and Oman over the weekend. Moving on, Canada appears to be slowing down on a major defense acquisition. The government is not rushing into its planned purchase of advanced American F-35 Lightning II fighter jets. And growing hesitation within Ottawa appears to be heading toward a deeper review of the entire deal with the US. Our next report tells you more on this.
Canada continues to reassess its proposed purchase of 88 F-35 Lightning II fighter jets from the United States. Canadian Defence Minister said the government is studying the deal and weighing alternative options. Ottawa first announced the $13.9 billion agreement in early 2023. In March 2025, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney ordered a review of this deal, citing concerns about excessive dependence on the United States defense sector. The evaluation, expected to conclude in September last year, faces further delays. Rising trade tensions between Washington and Ottawa have further complicated the process. Canadian officials are also exploring the possibility of other aircraft, including a potential purchase of Gripen jets from Swedish manufacturer Saab. Canada has already made a legal commitment of funds for the first 16 F-35 jets, making a complete reversal unavoidable. The F-35 Lightning II jet is considered to be among the world's most advanced stealth fighters and is operated or ordered by around a dozen countries. Developed by American defense manufacturer Lockheed Martin, the aircraft is built for multi-role combat operations and is backed by advanced sensors giving it superior situational awareness. Its arsenal includes a powerful 25mm cannon, air-to-air missiles and precision-guided bombs. The jet can reach top speeds exceeding 1900 km per hour with a combat radius of approximately 1100 km. Despite its capabilities, the aircraft has drawn criticism over high costs and operational demands. Several countries in Europe and Asia are reportedly reconsidering similar purchases, choosing instead to invest in domestic next-generation fighter programs. The aircraft's combat reputation has also recently come under increasing scrutiny. During the Iran war, Islamic Revolutionary Guards claimed to have shot down multiple US F-35 stealth fighters using domestic air defense systems. Iran also shared footage of alleged wreckage, claims that were refuted by US Central Command. While Canada's final decision remains pending, the delay perhaps signals a broader shift in how nations are evaluating American defense partnerships. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Shifting our focus now, India's archaeologists have decoded a 5th century mystery, rewriting what we know about the ancient Shaivite traditions. The Archaeological Survey of India's Epigraphy Division has now deciphered rare Sanskrit inscription written in the Brahmi script on a seal that was discovered in present-day Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The inscription points to a Shaiva temple dedicated to Lord Shiv as Koteshwara in the mythical Devadaruvan, which is also known as the forest of Himalayan cedar trees. ASI's Epigraphy Division said that this seal offers one of the earliest known artistic and inscriptional links to the legend of Shiv wandering in Devadaru forest. A narrative described in the Skanda Puran, one of the genres of ancient Hindu texts. And this is not an isolated breakthrough. In 2024, the ASI had decoded another Sanskrit inscription from Gilgit, tracing a devotee named Pushpasingha, who installed Maheshwara Linga in honor of his guru. Months earlier, a 10th century inscription found on a slab near Peshawar revealed traces of Buddhist dharani chants. So together, these discoveries are not just about the past. They further strengthen the cultural and religious footprint of ancient India across this region. And now let's turn our attention to Berlin, where an exhibition on regular animals has garnered significant attention. It's not about animals, though. Instead, it features robotic dogs that are modeled after key tech leaders. Take a look at some of the visuals from that exhibition.
Now, our view of the world is shaped by tech billionaires who own powerful algorithms that decide what we see and what we don't see, how much we see of it.
Let's talk about sports. The Afghan refugee women's football team has now been allowed to compete in the official international matches by FIFA. Afghan refugees across the world will represent the national team for the first time, which is against the wishes of the Taliban. The refugee team is known as Afghan Women United, and the members are scattered around the world, mainly in Australia, West Asia and Europe. And now FIFA has made a regulation change which allows the Afghanistan team to compete without the approval of the Taliban. Under the previous rule, FIFA required the team to receive recognition from the Afghanistan Football Federation, which is controlled by the Taliban. The Afghan Football Federation will not recognize a women's football team due to Taliban's ban on women's sports. For more than 3 years now, there has been a campaign to urge FIFA to intervene and provide the team official recognition and financial support. Afghan Women United was formed after the Taliban returned to power in 2021, and the official women's national team, which had been set up in 2007, was banned, with most of their players seeking asylum. Former Afghanistan team captain Khalida Popal, who is now living as a refugee in Denmark, hailed the historic decision.
It's a historic moment right now that I've witnessed. It's extremely empowering, and it's something that we have been waiting and fighting for such a long time to get the recognition, and getting FIFA on board with us to recognize our team and allow our team to play and represent the women of Afghanistan as a national team.
Another controversy has hit the IPL. The BCCI has sought an explanation from Rajasthan Royals captain Riyan Parag after television cameras showed him smoking an e-cigarette in the dressing room during the match against Punjab Kings. This incident occurred in the 16th over of the second innings when a broadcast camera briefly captured Parag with what looked like a vape. Now, the screen grab of Parag smoking went viral online. Remember, vaping is completely banned in India under the Prohibition of Electronic Cigarettes Act 2019. It is illegal to manufacture, produce, import, export, transport, sell, distribute, store, or even advertise about e-cigarettes. However, consumption isn't explicitly mentioned in this law. Violators face imprisonment and heavy fines, up to 5 lakh rupees. A BCCI official told the Indian Express newspaper that any explanation will be sought from Parag, and in fact they will further take action that will be considered. And the vaping incident comes during a tough phase, remember, for Parag with the bat. The 24-year-old has scored 117 runs at an average of just 14.63 and a strike rate of 124.47. This is the second controversy involving the Rajasthan Royals franchisee this season. Remember, earlier this season, the franchisee manager, Ravinder Romi Bhinder, was caught on camera using a phone during the IPL clash against Royal Challengers Bengaluru in Guwahati. He was later cleared by the BCCI's Anti-Corruption and Security Unit with a warning and a fine of 1 lakh rupees. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
The next few days are going to be intense. A number of allegations and accusations being made by both parties.
हम लड़ेंगे, बांग्ला जीतेंगे।
इस बार बंगाल में भी कमल खिलना तय है।
5.73 crore voters in the state will get to determine who is going to rule Tamil Nadu next.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances,